What's up, everybody? I'm Jacob. If you're new here, I talk a little bit about everything. If you like that, stick around a little longer. In today's video, I'm going to ask an AI, should men be worried about paternity fraud? So let's switch over here to ChatGPT. And to prime the pump a little bit, I want to give AI a context of what I'm asking it. So I just asked the question straight up, what is paternity fraud? Just so I kind of get the conversation going. And so the AI says paternity fraud occurs when a woman misidentifies a man as the biological father of her child, either knowingly or unknowingly. So we all know that. This can lead to the man assuming financial, legal, or emotional responsibility for a child that is not biologically his. So there you go. And this gives us the key aspects of it. So we have the legal and financial consequences, the emotional and psychological impact of it, the prevalence. So it says estimates of paternity fraud rates vary, but studies suggest that between 1 and 30% of men tested for paternity discover they are not the biological father. And I purposefully didn't ask it about any regions or anything like that. And if you'll notice, I didn't feed it anything about red pill. So just keep that in the back of your mind. That's going to be really important. Let's see the legal challenges. Many legal systems prioritize the best interests of the child over biological truth, making it difficult for falsely identified fathers to dispute paternity once they have been named on a birth certificate or have supported the child. Let's see, and DNA testing as a solution. Paternity tests can determine biological parentage with nearly 100% accuracy, but in many cases, they are not mandatory at birth, leaving room for deception or mistaken identity. So already the AI is pulling in some of the blind spots that men run into with some in these situations. So let's see. So then the AI prompts me for a question and says, would you like an analysis of legal policies regarding paternity fraud in a specific country? So that's great because, you know, again, it was kind of giving this tall overview, and now I'm going to drill down more. And so I asked it, yes, in the USA. So let's see what it says specific about the United States. And again, there's a whole reason for this. I'm guiding the AI down a path, but I still have not imbued it with any red pill wisdom or ideas or knowledge. So again, just keep that in the back of your mind. Paternity fraud laws in the USA. In the US, paternity fraud laws vary by state. Boy, that's not an exaggeration, but they generally prioritize the child's welfare over the biological truth. This means that even if a man proves he is not the biological father, he may still be legally obligated to pay child support if he was previously declared the legal father. So here are the key legal aspects. 1, establishing paternity. In most states, paternity is established in one of 3 ways. Marriage presumption. So a man is presumed to be the father if, you know, the child is born during a marriage. That's a big one with all the infidelity stuff and infidelity talks that we hear in the manosphere. A voluntary acknowledgement. A man signs a voluntary acknowledgement of paternity at birth. Yep. The court order. Paternity is established through legal proceedings, often with DNA testing. And 2, challenging paternity. Some states allow a man to challenge paternity within a limited time frame, typically 2 to 4 years after birth. Wow, I didn't know that was in some states. Let's see, if paternity was established voluntarily or by default, e.g. failure to contest child support, it can be difficult to overturn. So even if you just you don't know, and you just assume the child is yours and you start paying child support, they'll use that as the basis of establishing paternity. That's another gotcha. See, the courts may deny DNA evidence if they determine it is not in the child's best interest to disestablish paternity. That's really interesting because, you get in these arguments about, women having children, single mothers having children out of wedlock and the system that kind of upholds that, all the benefits, entitlements. But then you have this kind of can be a factor in all that. I'm not happy about that. Let's see, 3. And those of you that are newer, I've never married and I don't have children, just so you know. Let's see, child support and fraud consequences. If a man has been paying child support, proving paternity fraud does not necessarily exempt him from payments. Some states like California, Texas, and Florida have specific laws allowing men to challenge paternity and possibly terminate support obligations. So there's kind of that move towards protecting men on paternity fraud. And to be frank, I'm surprised California is in that forefront. Having grown up there and a lot of things that I've seen, almost all of the women in my family, with the exception of two, divorced. Not once, but twice. A lot of them 2 times or more. Let's see. Other states may require the legal father to continue supporting the child if a strong parent-child bond has been established, even if DNA tests proves he is not the biological father. So again, there's that bias towards is it beneficial for the child, to not know about the fraud. Legal recourse for paternity fraud. A man may be able to sue for fraud or misrepresentation, but successful cases are rare. Some states allow lawsuits for financial damages if a woman knowingly deceived a man into believing he was the father. So you're noticing that AI is not really like naming a lot of specific states. It does here every once in a while, but it's trying to keep it as generic as possible. And I'm going to try and get it to break down further. But while I am asking this red pill question without imbuing it with red pill knowledge, I'm also kind of wanting to demonstrate here like how you can research something with the AI and expand on ideas and get more information. Let's see. In most cases, courts focus on child welfare over fraud claims, making it difficult to recover past child support payments. So yeah, there's that underlying philosophy that does it benefit the child? What is the best benefit for the child? Let's see, notable state laws. California allows men to challenge paternity within 2 years of learning they are not the biological father, and that I didn't know. So that's pretty forward of California, because sometimes like I said, having grown up in California and seeing what the family court was like, that's very surprising to me. See, Texas has a law that allows men to terminate child support obligations if they can prove non-paternity. Florida allows a man to challenge paternity, but requires proof of fraud and deception. Seems like Florida's the one that's like getting a little more aggressive on a lot of things about divorce and family court. Like they eliminated permanent alimony, which I think was awesome. Let's see, why paternity testing at birth isn't mandatory. So here we go. Despite advances in DNA testing, most states do not require mandatory paternity tests at birth, largely due to, and there it again, first item, best interest of the child. Opposition from advocacy groups citing privacy concerns. That's BS. The assumption that married fathers are biological fathers. So there's that establishment of paternity just by being in the life of the child and having the child being born during the marriage is another huge layer to that. So let's see the conclusion. In the U.S., paternity fraud is a serious legal and financial issue, but the legal system often prioritizes the stability of the child over biological truth. Some states have taken steps to address wrongful paternity claims, but many men still find themselves largely responsible for children they did not father. Would you like details on any specific state or legal case? So this is what I like about ChatGPT or these generative AIs is they try to make the conversation continue and you can dig deeper and they helps you go into other areas that maybe you didn't think of. But again, remember, I just want to point out, I have not mentioned anything. I have not trained anything on the AI about red pill. Okay. So I asked the AI, what are some statistics patterned on paternity in the US? So again, the rawness of when I do this, I misspell things, I remember things wrong, and the AI still understands what I'm asking it. Let's see, paternity fraud, where a man is incorrectly identified as the biological father of a child, has been the subject of various studies in the United States, resulting in a range of findings. General population studies, a comprehensive review of international studies found that rates of paternal discrepancy vary widely from 0.8% to 30%, with a median of 3.7%. And so here's a source, which is looks like a military government. The National Institute of Health for the government, U.S. government. See, paternity testing outcomes. A study analyzing nearly 10,000 paternity tests in the U.S. reported that approximately 28% of the tested men were excluded as the biological father, indicating that over 1/4 of these tests revealed non-paternity. And so for those of you that get in my comments and say, oh, don't listen to Jacob, AI lies, it's trained on biased data. I've been showing in the last several videos actually about how neutral AI actually is in a lot of ways. And it's linking to studies here. So it's just not pulling crap out of thin air. And again, I want to point out, I have not trained the AI to think like red pill manosphere, okay? So let's continue. The statistics highlight the variability in paternity fraud rates influenced by factors such as the population studied and the context in which paternity tests are concluded. So again, correlation is not causation. So that's why you get that broad range of the 0.8% to 30%. So it depends on the study, the context of the study, and that's fair. And again, AI is very balanced that way. So let's continue reading. It's important to note that higher rates are often observed in cases where paternity is already in dispute. So, again, correlation is not causation. So the reason why they go and take the test could lead to the fact that more men are found to be not the father of the child because they did the test for the very reason to determine that, because there was doubt to begin with. Because, the kid has, slightly different looking teeth, maybe a different nose, a different demeanor, and there's suspicion. Okay. So, there might be a little more leaning towards in the results towards that 30% for that very reason. Okay. But don't get me wrong. This stuff's happening. Okay. Let's see. Whereas general population studies tend to show lower rates. So there you go. Correlation is not causation. However, given the emotional, legal, and financial implications of paternity fraud, these statistics underscore the importance of accurate paternity determination and the complexities surrounding this issue in the United States. So then I'm like, all right, so I've had this neutral conversation with the AI long enough. Let's press it a little bit, see if we can get an opinion out of it. So I asked it, if you were a man in a long-term relationship with children, would you be worried about paternity fraud? And if so, what measures would you take to prevent or mitigate it? All right. So, that's a red pill question, right? But I didn't say as someone in the manosphere or, using manosphere talking points or whatever. I just kind of asked it, a question that leaned in that direction. Okay. And this is important to note. So let's see what the AI said. If I were a man in a long-term relationship with children, paternity fraud would be a concern, but the degree of worry would depend on trust, the nature of the relationship, and broader societal factors. While it's not something every man needs to be paranoid about, it's a reality that affects a significant number of men. Mitigation and prevention strategies would include the following. So again, that's a very balanced answer, and it kind of goes back to that correlation is not causation, right? So, it's balanced, but let's see if I can get it to lean maybe a little more towards the red pill. We'll push a little more. Let's see. So prevention strategies. So again, the first thing it does, establish paternity at birth, right? So get that DNA test at birth, choosing a partner wisely, for integrity, loyalty, and honesty. So, we know we've got our infidelity problems in Western society, the bacchanal that is happening in open daylight. Let's see, maintaining financial and legal caution. So let's see what it says here. Avoid signing a voluntary acknowledgement of paternity without certainty. That's fair. Understand the legal landscape in my state regarding paternity disputes and child support laws. Where you live determines the outcome for sure. Let's see, keep records of financial support provided to the child to avoid unfair legal claims. So, there's always this talk in the manosphere about how women keep records, and, then when the family court proceedings happen, suddenly they have all this documentation of every dime they spent in the relationship. So, men, take note of that. Do the same thing. AI says so. So what do we have for mitigation strategies? First, the DNA testing, if doubts arise later. Let's see, if consistencies emerge, i.e. timeline discrepancies, physical differences, a discrete at-home DNA test could clarify doubts. If the child needs medical testing, for example, blood type matching, using that opportunity to cross-check paternity could be an option. Well, boys, am I looking this wrong, or is AI saying use deception? That's interesting. So again, remember, I have not told the AI anything about red pill, okay? Let's see, open conversation about trust and infidelity. Encouraging open and honest discussions about loyalty, past relationships, and expectations for faithfulness, setting boundaries and ensuring mutual understanding in relationship. Yeah, I don't know. You know, there's societal pressure. You know, women follow the herd. So good luck with that. That's my personal opinion. You know, because if your lady hangs out with a bunch of other 304s, you know, guilt by association is probably the nicest way I can couch that. I'm just going to leave that there. Let's see. Legal and financial preparedness. If marriage is involved, a prenup that includes clauses about paternity fraud consequences might offer some protection. And then there's those arguments about, you know, all that stuff gets thrown out. And again, let's keep going. Keeping personal finances and assets separate in cases where a relationship is legally binding. So I think this is getting into like common law and stuff like that, cohabitation and those sort of things. Final thoughts. While blind paranoia would be harmful to a relationship, a rational level of caution is justified. The best approach would be a mix of trust but verify, making informed decisions about partners and ensuring legal and financial safeguards are in place. You know, and that's very expensive. A lot of men simply cannot afford to put all those legal protections in place, like what is it? The specific kind of trust, like where you can't break, or irrevocable trusts. Those are expensive. That costs a lot of money to get those in place. And a lot of men just simply can't afford to do that, to be honest. Let's see. If deception were ever discovered, having a plan for legal recourse would be crucial. Would you like an analysis of specific state laws regarding legal recourse in case of proven paternity fraud? So I think, you know, now we're far enough in the conversation with the AI. I want to start pulling in kind of like the mosaic, the complexity of all the laws in our great union. So I asked GPT to say, to give me a matrix of states that treat paternity fraud as a crime and a simple summary of the consequences, if any. So this list was not very long, actually, which kind of gives, you know, more credence to a lot of the arguments that you find in Red Pill. So again, paternity fraud laws in the United States vary by state, with some states treating it as a criminal offense, while others address it through civil statutes. So, you know, it's not serious. It's more of like a financial, he said, she said, pay up kind of thing. Below is a matrix summarizing how different states handle paternity fraud and the associated legal consequences. And by the way, when I said matrix, I actually meant table, and the AI picked up on it. So, you know, I don't use matrix in my everyday language. So anyway, so let's see what we have here. So California treats paternity fraud as a civil offense. So, you know, it's not a crime, okay? It's not a criminal offense. And the legal consequences are victims can challenge paternity judgments and seek reimbursement. So again, it's always around the money, not the criminal offense, for child support paid. The law allows men to contest paternity within 2 years of discovering it. Let's see, Florida, again, civil offense, allows men to challenge a paternity and terminate the support obligations if it's proven. And recent statutes permit DNA evidence to contest support orders beyond previous time limits. So, you know, there you go. Again, Georgia, civil offense. So far, no crime. No crime yet. So Georgia expanded the time frame for administering paternity tests, and mandatory paternity testing is required to obtain a child support order. So there's the first time we've seen that. where Georgia's leading the charge on that. Illinois, still civil offense. Courts are ordered to require to vacate child support orders if clear and convincing evidence shows the man is not a biological father and the mother maliciously misrepresented paternity. So she could just go, oh, it was an oopsie. I didn't mean to do it, right? So, kind of weak if you ask me. Indiana, here we go. Crime. It's a crime. Let's see. How severe is it? Enacted legislation making fertility fraud a level 6 felony, addressing cases where medical professionals use their own genetic material without consent. Oh, wow. So that basically they can demand a DNA test. Iowa, civil offense. Recognizes paternity fraud torts, allowing victims to seek damages for. So again, it's under tort law. So that's like ambulance chaser law, where you could go in and go, you don't have a handicap ramp into this business, so I'm suing. That kind of like ambulance chaser tort law. Tort law is the worst. Like, that's why they call it ambulance chasing. Hang out at the hospital, wait for an accident, go, you fell, right? You fell hard, right? So yeah, tort law is actually the reason why insurance, another layer of why health insurance and liability insurance and business insurance is so expensive because of tort law. So it's like one of the worst, like the most leechiest, legal, or what attorneys do to make a living. It's grotesque. Let's see, in Nevada, we have crime. It's a crime. So it's deliberate alternation of paternity test results in classified gross misdemeanor. So it's not even like a felony, it's a misdemeanor, with penalties including up to 365 days in jail. So 1 year in jail and a fine up to $2,000. That's weak. We have civil offense. It's starting to look like civil offense is the better route because you can really pursue serious financial damages. But I don't know. I still think I would like to see it be treated as a crime, but have the financial penalties too. Let's see. Courts recognize intentional misrepresentation of paternity, allowing victims to recover the damages for child support paid under false pretenses. So again, always the money. And Texas, civil. Men can challenge paternity and potentially terminate child support obligations if non-paternity is established. Not clear if that's a DNA thing, but probably is. So here we go. What is the conclusion? It's important to note that in many states, paternity fraud is not explicitly defined as a crime, but can have significant civil implications. Legal consequences often depend on the jurisdiction and specific circumstance of each case. Individuals affected by paternity fraud should consult with a legal professional to understand their rights and the applicable laws in their state. So there's your balanced AI answer. But again, I did not push any red pill stuff, but I asked one leading question, to see if I could get the AI to go in a certain direction. But it still was pretty balanced and pretty fair. I don't know. What do you think? Comment below. But I just thought, this would be, because it's a controversial topic, and I thought this would be a great way to demonstrate how you could use AI to explore the complexities of a topic and kind of see what the state of it is in different areas, and maybe make an important decision for your life based on what you're finding in here. But again, as it says at the bottom, ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info. So even here it says to ask your legal professionals. But again, this is an important skill set that I'm trying to share with everybody. And I think it's going to be as important as using a mouse on your day job. But anyway, tell me what you think. Comment below. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. And until the next one, peace.